So, what could NASA have done differently to avoid this disaster? Well, first off, reading off a quote, it says NASA wanted to launch the Challenger without any delays so the launch pad could be refurbished in time for the next mission, which would be carrying a probe that would examine Halley's Comet. This is kind of silly because there's no reason to be rushing things that include humans' lives. They're not safety. That rocket could fall and hurt other people. It wasn't worth it to bypass all the studies, bypass all the research, not put enough information into what they should have done. And then NASA explains that it's because they were trying to hurry up the mission so that way they could carry a probe to examine Halley's Comet. That's one thing they did wrong. Again, you can urge people to do better. You can have there be a rush to make things go faster. But if the data is not presented, you shouldn't move on with a project. And the same thing, to quote something else, they say, since there was not enough data available to make an informed decision, this was not, in their opinion, grounds for stopping a launch. This was a reversal in the thinking that went on in early years of the space program, which discouraged launching until all the facts were known about a particular problem. So they had gotten into such a mindset that they were not going to reverse the launch because there weren't enough facts to disprove it. When in reality, you should never, ever, ever do a launch that has 7 human lives on board before you know all the facts and you are extremely positive that everything's going to go right. It should not be the other way around, and I can't believe that went on that way. Another issue was that the O-rings, the erosion of the O-rings, they hypothesized that a third of it would go away, but the rest would be in place. They had never done tests below 40 degrees, and they ended up launching the thing in 8-degree weather. This was not efficient. This isn't what it was tested for. It was completely rusty. It was completely rushed, sorry. To move on to the second question, what should Roger Boisovy have done differently? Yeah, I don't think he did much wrong. He knew that this wasn't a high probability of working. He saw that there were problems. He knew there were problems 10 years before the launch. He presented them. The day before he could have made a little bit more noise, but regardless, he made noise. He talked to his managers. He told them, hey, here's this problem. We need to address this. We should not go ahead with the launch. But again, there wasn't enough data to prove that it wouldn't work, so they went forward with it. Again, this is hard for him. It's an ethical thing. You should never take your own pride and your own job in front of the lives of other people. If you want to risk some money, that's a completely different issue. But when you risk human lives, that's when you're completely in the wrong. This third question says, what do you, the students, see as your future engineering professional responsibilities in relation to both being loyal to management and protecting the public welfare? For me personally, I'm going into security systems with information systems, so I might be in charge of keeping a website intact, whether I'm working for a bank or whether I'm working for anything that has contact information, extremely important information about individuals, whether it's credit card information, social security number, addresses, phone numbers. All of this can be sold to a buyer. All of this I can dispose of and get rid of for selfish reasons, but there's a responsibility. It's my responsibility to be loyal, not just to my company, but to my peers, to everyone around me. This responsibility was completely forgotten during this launch. There were people that were not doing their job, and they failed, and they should be held accountable.